Alright. Timestamp. It is May 18th, 2026, 11:30 p.m. I'm gonna go to bed. Here in a few. My brush. Finally got that shower I've been fantasizing about. So I got up this morning, got my cup of coffee, sat down at the bar, and Pix came strolling in. It was like 8 a.m. So what I had forgotten was she wanted to go at the loft in the workshop. She wanted to do it bright and early because Florida summer, if it doesn't rain, it's blistering hot. And then you're in a kind of like the attic of a garage, and it gets very warm. So I was like, well, let me get a shower. And she's like, why? I was like, okay, that's a good point. Part of them. So, got done. Went up to Aldi real quick. I'm sure people in line, there's still social distancing thanks to COVID, but I'm sure there are people who are like, that guy's homeless. 'Cause I was wearing my dirty blue jeans and my tank top, and I'm sure smelling like, yeah, kind of like that. And it's not the first time that I've had people think that I was homeless, so that's okay. Yeah, whatever. Walked to work for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and frequently people were like, do you need help? Should I call somebody? And it's like, I'm walking to work. No, I'm good. Oh, you have a job? And a house? And a dog and a cat and a wife and kids and the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, blessed for, being concerned, but it's like, wow. Am I giving off those vibes? Okay. Not sure. I know a lot of the homeless in the town and country area from walking to work. It's true, because I'd see them just about every day. They knew me. Interesting thing. With people that they see a lot, because they network, they talk to each other, they have their own little community. A lot of areas do. I learned a lot about homeless society, really, because I would actually talk to them, as opposed to going, get a job, People they see on a regular basis, they're usually not like on a first name basis with them. They don't know that the woman in the red sports car, they don't know that her name is Susan. You know what I mean? They just see a really young, fit blonde in a red sports car, and they call her Sporty. Hey, you seen Sporty today? I mean, it's just kind of, it's almost like a tribal name. Because I was frequently wearing Muppet t-shirts, because I am that guy. My name in the community was Kermit. I have like 3 or 4 Kermit the Frog shirts, which I'm a fanboy. It's true. Man, I love Fozzie, Rolf, the whole gang, but Kermit, he's kind of one of my role models. My name within the community was Kermit. There were a couple that actually did know my real name because they'd come into the store that I worked at, and I have name tag. And those people, some would call me either, depending on the moment or the whim. But yeah, and quite a few of them have their own special nicknames too. It's a tall, thin, very wizened-looking man with a long gray beard, and yeah, you're Everybody called him Gandalf. Everybody called him Gandalf. I actually don't know what his real name was. Don't know. And last time I saw him was like 5-6 years ago, so I don't know. The longevity, the mortality rate among homeless can be pretty rough. So he was actually nice. He was actually nice. There were a few that were not allowed in the store because they did shoplift, and there were quite a few that did not. They would come in and they would buy stuff without putting extra things in their pockets, and we had an okay relationship, you know. There's one guy, and if you're in Hillsborough County, you may have seen this guy. He frequently positions himself outside of Dollar Trees, and he's usually welcome because he's one of those ones that causes absolutely no harm. He'll take the palm fronds, like palmetto strips, whatnot, the ones that are like yellow, brown, whatnot, and he knows how to like mold them, whatnot, like balloon animals, but he'll make like crosses, roses. He like has like 4 or 5 different shapes that he makes, and he'll just set up camp and start whipping out some arts and crafts there, and he'll have a little sign down that basically says free donations welcome, and he's not asking for money. So I mean, management can still ask the person to leave the property, but typically he's got a good reputation, and he'll make 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 bucks, and he'll come in and he'll buy 2 liter of soda and some snacks or something like that, and he's on his way to, he had some kind of a gig set up at one of the shelters or whatnot, because he was always like, I gotta go, if I don't make it I don't get a bed, you know. But he'd camp out in front of a couple of different trees in the area, and I know because when Hurricane Milton destroyed our store and we got basically loaned out to various stores, I'd see him at quite a few locations. Everybody called him Wicker Man. Harmless. In fact, actually nice. I sat down and talked to him a few times. Bought him soda and just sat down and just, you know, shot the shit. Nice guy. I think he was trying to get his life back, which, cool. Cool. Seriously, you know? So, yeah, Kermit. And you know what? I accept that. I'm okay with that. But it could have been like Elmo or something. Please don't, you know? I mean, I got no problem with Elmo, but I'm more a Kermit kind of guy. One of my kids was obsessed with Elmo, and I get it, and he came out after me. You know what I mean? There are certain characters that I kind of had to learn about through my kids because they weren't on the street when I was watching it. You know, Elmo, Zoe, quite a few of that little group of monsters, whatnot. They're new for me, you know. I mean, Big Bird, Ernie, Bird, Grover. I grew up with these guys, man. You know, they're old friends, but true story. So yeah, we went. She mostly went into the loft. I was mostly there spotting on the edge of it. And that's not because, you know, she wears the pants or whatever you want to say it. Mostly because there was only really room for one person in that spot. We're having to like take a box from here to move it over here because that's a slide puzzle in and of itself. Because nothing is simple here. What are you thinking? Ow. So, in the loft, my mom did not know when to quit. In the loft we're still working our way through it. There's some car part stuff from Dad. like windshields. Looks like some aprons, some fenders, Volkswagen, of course. We are having some Aldi donut shop, by the way. I was in the mood to help you, dude. Different song, I know. I'll tell you what, I love Robin Williams, but some of the Broadway genies they've had, they're so good. They're so good. So, because my mom does not know when to quit from a collecting standpoint, and I think the intent was holding on to them because they are valuable, will be valuable, should be valuable, could be valuable. Not sure what tense we're using at this point. Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies. Now, some of you have already said, oh yeah, my grandma's got some Beanie Babies. I don't know that your grandma has 60 medium totes full. No, I'm not kidding. We went through like 30 of them. We're a little 30 to 40. We're probably about 2/3 of the way there. And I had already gone through 5 or 6. They're in here. Picks and going through them. We're going through them because we don't know if my dad hid the pocket watches in a box. There's paperwork still missing. We don't know. We don't know. Exactly. And there were quite a few occasions where my dad said that someone had been up in the loft rifling through the boxes. And this is during his paranoid days. So that means either he was up there rooting around and forgot, which is probable, or in his paranoid state, he did hide things up there, and it was always on his mind that somebody might go up there, because there's important stuff up there. So, you know what I mean? It was on the forefront of his mind all the time. We don't know. Because it's really hard to ask, this is going to sound disrespectful, but it's really hard to ask a crazy man why they're crazy. What kind of answer are you going to get? But anyway, going through it, Pix was pulling out ones that she wanted, and I pulled out a few that I wanted to. Like, that's some of the ones that she was like, oh my god, I gotta. I'm gonna bend that dragon's wings, and then people will be unhappy with me. See? Oh yeah. You say, I've got a few over here. I didn't grab many of them, but I grabbed a couple. So, this is actually pretty cool. It might be valuable, but I just like it. So the tag is called Courage. He's called Courage. That's his name, you know, because they named them to honor our heroes who lost their lives in that national catastrophe that took place on September 11th, 2001. So they did basically like a rescue dog. So that's, I think, supposed to be like a shepherd. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I am obsessed with sunflowers. Pix found this one. It's so crazy loud. It's very Getty's. But, okay, I dig it. It's a little over the top, but I like it. And then I've got sort of a sunflower tie-dye almost looking. She did find a couple of larger ones, honestly. It's not an applicable line, but I keep hearing Deliver Me from LL Bean. Nothing really to do with the circumstance other than the deliver me part. Who doesn't love Otho? Step over the things that Kaiser made for me. Thanks, buddy. there's like 20 of this. I mean, there's multiples. Giant purple platypus, which is so ridiculous I kind of fell in love. I did separate him from his 19 siblings. Hopefully he'll get by. And a giant frog. Because I like frogs. A bunch of smaller frogs too. There was like 3 or 4 different types of smaller frogs, but... And of course I already have Kermit over here. True story that Kermit is very, very, very special to me. Not just because it's Kermit the Frog. Albeit, that would be enough in some ways. That was my baby sister's. And I don't have a lot from her. But we were both huge, huge Muppet fans. And when her husband, my brother-in-law, and a friend of mine, actually, I introduced them. When he was kind of purging her stuff. It's kind of that whole, is there anything, my baby sister was a hippie before. It was cool to be a hippie the second time around. You know what I mean? One of her favorite shows is Hair. You know, as a kid born in the mid 70s, that's not really fashionable, but she didn't really care about anybody's opinion, which frankly I respect the hell out of. The reason I bring that up is my wife, who had become her best friend, so her passing hit us both really hard. And it was so out of the blue. So out of the blue. You know, I mean, she had been off the Oxy for like 8 years. 10 years she'd been clean. But the stuff it had ravaged her body for years. And eventually it caught up with her. So, but my wife grabbed her tambourine. That's why I mentioned the hippie thing. I'm a big fan of like Mamas and the Papas and stuff like that. So, but yeah, the Kermit was kind of laying there in the pile, and I was like, that's coming with me. That's coming with me. So, I keep it close. This whole mortality thing, man, it sucks. It really does. Yeah. So yeah, Pix made some tea, and she used her Disney Villains mug. So I don't really have any villain mugs exactly, but in order to coordinate with my girl, I grabbed one that... And again, the little text on here is like, Marvin is 2 helmets high. Martian feet. It's like about Marvin, but if you're not reading it, it honestly looks like the plans on a chalkboard kind of thing. So I'm like, this is the closest I've got to compliment what you've got going on there. Is Marvin, who you could say he's a foil, he's a villain-ish, you know, and it looks like he's making plans, so... Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, match the corsage kind of thing. That's what I got. Not quite the same hue, but in that cartoon foil category. That's what I got. So, Pix is supposed to be coming back tomorrow, which is cool, because I like seeing my girl. Um, got a couple of eBay packages to get out and do that. I'm going to do that when I get up. I'm not doing that right now. Then we're going to go back into the loft. Yeah, we got done and I was taking care of kids and feeding animals and making dinner for everybody. And every time I was like, I'm going to get that shower now, somebody else would go grab a shower or take the bathroom, and it's like, and I'm waiting. So I'm pleased that I was able to take a shower now. When you get to that point where you're like, okay, I can smell myself. That's not a great moment, you know? It's like, need to do that before I like lay down on my comforter on the couch. You know, smell that up a little bit. Yeah, get in there. Yeah. Italian cotton, huh? There you go, yeah. Smell like a camel's ass, yeah. No, it's a thing. Almost done with the booth, the last one. Getting a lot of the detail areas. There's still a couple little flecks of white or where I like went over the line with the other color, which is annoying me. Still got to touch up the back a little bit, but mostly there. I should be able to top coat this. Yeah, got a little bit there. I need to orange that. Maybe by tomorrow night I'll be putting top coat on it. I'm not a Virgo, but I am still a Capricorn, so details are important. If I was a Virgo, I wouldn't be at that stage for another, month. And I can say that lovingly. My baby sister was a Virgo, and I've got a lot of friends that are Virgos. And that little imperfection, no, we're fixing that. Makes them crazy. Which actually, I used to do this to her. It's so mean, but so funny. Alright, so on her dresser, she always had, a mirror and, some little PVC figures, mostly, Disney characters and stuff. Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, little PVC static figures. And I would rearrange them and put them in poses and positions that they are not allowed to be in and maintain their G rating. Minor little thing, but yeah. It's not like a confession. She knew it was me because she would yell my name when she noticed it. And then, much like I think it's a fairy that has to stop and pick up the grains of salt or what have you, she would, once she noticed it, have to correct it. Even if she was in a hurry, if the house was on fire, didn't matter, she would have to, Simba goes here, Rafiki goes here, Rafiki is not grabbing Simba's ass. She would have to correct the whole thing. And I'd do the whole row. And giggle while doing it, because I knew. But yeah, the Rafiki, he's in that pose like this, so you could deposit other characters onto his hands. And they were far enough apart to where he could be having a threesome kind of thing going on. Dirty monkey. Dirty monkey. Bad monkey. Or really good monkey. Really, it's not my call, is it? How do you feel about it? What are your thoughts? Hey, is that a pizza? Who ordered the pizza? Anyway. I'm literally here all week. They do let me out. They do. I've just got so much to do here, Disney characters to play with and stuff, so priorities. But yeah, we went through probably close to 40 totes of beanies. Yeah. Because we're looking for a stack of paperwork. You know, a stack of paperwork. And a bunch of pocket watches. It would be real easy to hide something like that in a tote of plush up in a loft in his workshop. And it could be in with the car parts. We're working our way down to that. That's going to be nasty. Because 10 feet in the air, and those things are heavy, and they're going to be really, really fun to move around and manipulate to actually search the area. It's going to be swell. Yeah, because Pix was like, well, I mean, it's just some car part stuff. I'm like, take a closer look at that. And she's like, oh God, there's a couple of windshields up here. What's this long metal thing? I'm like, that's probably a front apron. Is it curved? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's a front apron. That's the metal part that goes basically under the hood lid area. There's like some hoods and some fenders, and they're all stacked up neatly. But your older Volkswagens, they're actually made of metal as opposed to plastic or fiberglass. I'm kind of curious how he got them up there by himself, but then again, if he did this 10, 13 years ago, before he started having the problems, yeah, he could have. But he still could have crawled up there and hidden some important things and then put the other totes of Beanie Babies in front of them, which would explain why somebody keeps getting up there and like tossing the Beanie Baby boxes. Well, if he's saying that something happened and it's the burglar, that means it was him, or he imagined it. But if he imagined it, that still means it's on his mind. Does that make sense? Because there are some things that didn't happen, but they were on his mind, and then we came to find out that the stuff that was on his mind was actually important stuff. He just didn't have any of it accurate. But the subject matter was actually something that needed to be looked into. If that makes sense. Giant slide puzzle with mysteries. I begged. I pled. And it's my monkey, not Rafiki, although I do have one of those somewhere. I do. I love Rafiki. But what I was doing with him, yeah, I was making him into a very dirty monkey. Very dirty. I make no apologies. That was fun. Waiting for my name to be yelled angrily. Up. Up. She's in her room. Did she notice? She's going to notice. If you've got siblings, you know how this works. You know how this works. Yeah, we'd prank each other, but nothing dangerous, scary, whatnot. Just little annoyances to say, hi, I'm thinking about you, I love you. Also, you're going to get really annoyed. But I love you, you know. We understood each other on that one. She'd, you know, take my VHS tapes and put them out of order, put them in different cases and stuff. She'd give me back. You know, we'd go Star Wars, Blade Runner, Tron, and Empire Strikes Back would be way over here, and Return of the Jedi would be on the bottom shelf, and it's like, girl, New Hope, Empire, Jedi, stop it. It's all very Rafiki getting grabby. Her comeuppance. I know, I get it, it's cool. It's usually after I did what I did. It's retaliatory. It's cool. I love you too. I miss you. Definitely my partner in crime when we got older. I'm not going to do any more on that tonight. I'm going to go fall over. Yeah, I earned it. I have a big purple platypus waiting for me. Gotta be careful where you say that, right? My cat just went pompously strutting by. He's very Lucifer from Cinderella in his appearance as a real cat. Handsome little bugger, but he's got some sass to him. And when he's got the big fluffy tail too, so when he walks and it flips back and forth, it's got there's a statement there. And it's loud. I love that cat. Everybody's still pretty torn up about Jinx though. Everybody loved Jinx. Yeah. He was a terrible Blastoids player. But he's a cool cat. So, go ahead and sign up here. My love for Muppets. I have been trying to, for years, figure out what the name of that Muppet is. I saw him labeled Blue Monster number 6 on one website. I love the look of him. I don't know what he's supposed to be, if he's supposed to be like a bat or what. But I love him. I absolutely love this character, the look of him. I don't know. What I know is, I want one. that's what I know. You're so cool looking. I love your coloring, your overall look. It's Man, at Disney Studios, looked in all the Muppet gift shops just to see. It was a long shot because he's kind of an unnamed Muppet. Nobody had any kind of plush or anything of that nature. And he only appears like background in, the Muppet Show here and there. They do reuse their guys, but never been given a formal name or anything like that. I know names of Muppets, even the obscure ones like, Uncle Deadly, Baskerville, who is a hound dog. There's a lot of pretty obscure Muppets that their name gets mentioned once or twice. I'm one of the dorks that actually knows who they are. That one, don't know. Sadness. So. And I will sometimes impersonate Swedish Chef while I'm cooking just to amuse my kids. Yeah. Because yes, I am that dork. So, yeah. Got me monologuing. Hug your parents. Beg, plead. If they're hoarders, tell them stop. If you need any Beanie Babies, let me know. I can spare a couple thousand of them for a small price. I can't give them away. But I'm not running out anytime soon. Hug your kids. Promise you won't do this to them. Exactly. Find the humor. And in doing so, that will help you make it a great day. It will.